Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bang with Mikey, episode 130. And today we're gonna talk about a few things that been on my mind. I'm officially under 10 weeks out from my fifth show, which is the Aloha Muscle. I kinda kept it under wraps. Nobody really knows that I'm doing the show except for a handful of people, and now whoever watches this podcast will know that I'm doing the show. Um it's been an interesting prep. Ironically, because I started this prep back in January with the goal of doing a show in April, and I just had so much shit going on at the time. Life was lifing. Um, yeah, life was lifing. I had accepted a job in Denver, Colorado, and I was fitting to move like that February, and it kind of happened all kind of quick. So I applied. I was looking for jobs anyway, and so because I wanted to leave my former current place of employment because it just wasn't a vibe, right? The vibe wasn't it, and so I happened to be on, I think it was like governmentjobs.com or whatever it was, right? And so I happened to be on there, and I ran across this job. It was like a juvenile correctional officer, right? I was okay, cool, whatever, you know. So applied for the job. A couple of days later, got a call back, and they wanted me to. They wanted to interview me for the position. I was okay, cool, and there's a couple of red flags that in that position that stood out to me. Number one, the supervisor at the time, she let it slip that they were actually operating off funding. And I'm like, hey, if you're a state agency, why are you operating off funding? There should be a budget. There should be something in the budget for you guys already allocated, right? And and the more and more I talked, and the more and more questions I had. The only person who kind of really stuck their neck out for me, which I appreciated, I believe her name was, I want to say Allison was her name, because she knew that it was bullshit. They wanted me to take, complete a background test, check and everything too. And I'm like, yo, like that should have been done already. Like that background check should have been finished. That's probably one of the first things that you do is that, you know. And my original start date was supposed to be sometime in February. But I ended up moving it back a few weeks because I just, and they asked me why, and I'm like, well, coming from out of state, I'm shipping everything here. I need to find housing, so I'm still looking for housing. Can you give me 2 weeks? And the recruiter was like, the supervisor, hey, take as much time as you need, whatever, I got you. And and unbeknownst to me was that she was communicating with her people, but the onboard people weren't communicating with them. And I remember getting calls and whatnot too, and I'm like, yo, like so and so should know, so and so should, like she said she told you guys, which I'm like, well, why would she lie about that? Doesn't make any sense, right? Come to find out, the onboard people, they weren't doing the job, more or less, right? All the shit that they should have been doing, they weren't doing. And then on top of that too, they had a bunch of new supervisors coming, so nobody knew what was going on. And I'm like, okay, so you expect me to follow your role, but you don't know what you're doing. I'm asking you questions you can't answer, and these are pretty simple questions. It's the, it has to do with the, payroll, time off, stuff like that, right? And they couldn't answer that, and so I ended up staying in Hawaii. Uh, Ended up not doing the show in April because my body just wasn't moving fast enough the way I wanted it to move, and so I figured, okay, how about I just take the time off, and no, why not take the time off, but just let the stress go down, because obviously the cortisol levels in my body are going haywire. They're going nuts because I couldn't lean out, as I couldn't. I was dieting hard, but it's like my body was like, nope, nope, we're not moving. And I was back in probably around January, February, and my body just wasn't moving. And I ended up getting a state gig here in Hawaii, and I figured, okay, cool. Well, like now that I got everything settled, I don't have to worry about relocating. Because number one, I'm gonna tell you, man, if anybody's, oh shit, yeah, if anybody's ever relocated, y'all know how expensive it is. It's ridiculously expensive to relocate. You need at least 10 to 20 bands of money lying around just to do it, comfortably. And and it's crazy because a lot of people say, yeah, man, but you left some money on the table, this and this and that. I'm like, nah, the way I move, the way I operate, I'm always get that money back. I'm never concerned with with losing money. Because money is the one thing you can always get more of. It's never gonna go away. It's a currency. And and then I found myself mixed up in a few situations that weren't really the best situations. Could have been real messy. And yeah, that's that. And now I'm 10 weeks out as of Friday. I'm feeling okay. Body's a little beat up, a little sore, a little fatigued. The diet's slowly getting its hooks into me. Around week 12, week 10, I start feeling different, because I eat the same thing year round, more or less, and but during the off season, I obviously have um I don't want to say that I like boundaries, but I do enjoy food. My thing is gelato. Gotta have my gelato. Um, and in certain parts of Ben and Jerry's too. Ben and Jerry's, I gotta have that, man. The banana chunk. Yeah, and so like there's certain things that I do in the off season where I don't blow it completely out of proportion, but I gain about 20 pounds, But it's quality it's quality weight though. It's not like it's like pizza and beer and with chicken wings and shit like that, right? It's quality weight because I'm still in the gym working out. I'm still doing everything that I have to do to maintain my physique, And yeah, I was looking at my calendar on Friday. I'm like, damn, I'm 10 weeks out. I remember telling myself back in January, like, yo, okay, we're gonna do one of these two shows, and whichever show your body gets ready for first, that's the show we doing. And I picked on the schedule. It was gonna be either April or September. Obviously, April didn't happen. There's a couple shows in June and July, but I don't really care for the promoter. That's another story, another topic, and but this show, the Aloha Muscle, man, it's just something that I've always wanted to do. This show, I've never had this opportunity to do it. I've done every other show on the island, so there's about 5 shows on the island, so I've done every single one except this one. So, and then one of my goals is to do a mainland show. Well, first is to get nationally qualified, win the Open, get nationally qualified, and and do a mainland show. I really want to do the Arnold Amateur, just to say that I did it, and that's in March. So, um, I think it'd be a great experience. Um, it's gonna cost a lot of money, but it's okay. Bodybuilding, man. I say this all the time, man. It saved my life, and what I mean by that, man, I didn't grow up in the most loving home. Um, I grew up in a house where bills were paid, lights was on, food was in the fridge, clothes was on my back, sneakers on my feet. And I mean, it's like I grew up in a household like that, but when it came time for emotional connection, um, it wasn't really there. Like it was there, but it wasn't there in the way I needed it. I'm the type of cat where I like to talk about my feelings, you know. And when I say like, I mean I got to be comfortable around you. Um, and I grew up in a household where we didn't really do that, you know. I grew up in a household where never really was asked how your day was, you know. I mean, growing up, I did, well, my dad and my mom would ask me, "Hey, what you guys learn in school today?" You know what I mean, or whatever it is, and I think my response would be like, I don't remember because I didn't. It was like, school for me just was something I had to do. Not that I didn't enjoy it, because I did, but for the most part, man, and I just felt like maybe it was a physical disability, or maybe it was just me being insecure, or maybe just me not being interested in something, and it just never sparked my interest. Not until I got to college. And I think at the end of the day, man, that not having that emotional support growing up, um, really affected me, man. Because there are days where I don't feel like talking to people. I don't feel like having a conversation. I just don't. I just want to be left alone. And it's really strange because I can be the most friendly, outgoing person ever, but when I get into those moods, it's like I don't really care, you know. And I don't want to say it's because of my upbringing or whatever it is, because to me that's always going to be a cop out, but it does play a role. I never I never really knew what a healthy relationship looked like, and I know I've said this before in other previous episodes, but it's true. I've never really known what a healthy relationship looks like. Um, every single woman I've hooked up with, um, has always most majority of the time been involved with somebody else. Um, sometimes I knew about it, sometimes I didn't, and even when the girls who were single and who were attracted to me, um, it just never really worked out. Cause for me, it's like once I get that vibe that okay, this is what we're doing, boom, 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 my whole demeanor switches up. Um, it takes a lot for me to become comfortable around you, and I'm never gonna force anything. I'm never gonna sit there and be like, oh yeah, well, yeah, yada yada, whoop de whoop. Like, nah, it's like if you wanna come kick it with me, you can come kick it with me. Man, it's like I'm not gonna sit here and try to force something that's not there, right? I'm never gonna do that. And I don't know, man. As I've gotten older, I've kind of noticed that too. Is like where I kind of withdraw myself and and like literally like y'all see the setup behind me is like unless I'm going to the gym, I don't leave the house. You know what I mean? Or unless I'm going to work, this is what I'm doing. Right? right behind you. And it's crazy because a lot of people think that I'm extroverted, but I'm actually introverted. I just put up a really good front of being of being extroverted. But I was like, I do like my alone time. I like my space. I don't like being cluttered. I don't like too much noise. Sometimes I get overstimulated with certain things and people, so I gotta charge my battery for that. So there's a lot of shit that goes on that a lot of people don't realize. It's like, yo, it's like, and for me, I don't like uh having shit thrown at me at the last minute. You know. And when I say last minute, like, don't hit me up at 5 o'clock. Be like, hey, what you do? What you doing? Like, what are you doing at 6? Nothing. I know I'm not going out. So um, I also think um how you're raised plays an extremely important role in how you deal with conflict. Um, my dad wasn't the most patient man. Um, I remember once, I must have been about eight or nine, maybe a little older, and I remember, I don't know what, I don't know what it was, right? Um, but I remember him asking me something. I said, and the first thing I said, like, "Yo, okay, you got to promise that you won't get mad," because I was legitimately scared, you know. Because my dad, he was 5'10", 5'11", about 270, 280, give or take. Big dude, right? And me being 8 years old, I'm a small little guy, so like I don't. Not that I never really felt safe around him, because I did, but I didn't like the fact that I had to walk on eggshells around him, a lot. And I remember telling him like, "Oh, okay. If I well, first you gotta promise that you won't get mad." What's the first thing you do? He got mad. Yeah. And it kind of just made me withdraw from ever having conversations with him. And there's a questions I wanted to ask him before he died, and I never got the chance to, and it eats away at me because of that. There's so many questions I wanted to ask, man. And I just looked at the situation, and then I started looking at his upbringing, and then I found out all the shit that he went through growing up, and you know all the traumatic shit that he endured. Whether it's from you know being raised in a single parent household, and and then going off in the military and just doing what he did, you know, um, never really knowing what a healthy relationship looks like, because he never really had a healthy relationship to model after. And I never ever went to see my parents have a civil conversation. I've never seen them sit down and just talk it out like regular adults. Um, and I used to be that way too. I used to be like, hey, whatever girl I was seeing, whatever girl I was talking to, I would kind of treat her the same way, because I don't mean to use this as an excuse. I literally didn't know any better. Um, and as I've gotten older, I've realized, okay, like we can stay mad at each other, or what we can do, we can sit here and be, or we can table this and we can come back to it when cooler has prevailed. Because I don't want you being upset or being angry, saying something that you can't take back. Because once you put words out there, dog, nigga, it's out there. You can't take it back. Um, and I think that's extremely important, man. Is like to be able to handle conflict in a healthy way, to be able to handle conflict in a way that's conducive, productive, safe. Um, and what I found out, man, like a lot of people my age and younger, 30 plus, we're all fucked up. We're all traumatic. You know, been through some traumatic shit. To wrap this up, recently I was talking to this girl, and I got the 411 rundown by one of my partners, and he was telling me all this shit, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And she's been through some traumatic shit, and I was like, that's the reason why she doesn't trust people, because the dude she trusted, but the dude she fell in love with, these niggas were the scum of the earth. You know what I mean? It's like, so I can understand why why she pushed me away, or why she did what she did. It's like it has nothing to do with your goals or being a distractions or whatever it is, because it's not. It's the fact that you're scared to get hurt, so you put up this wall, and you know it's difficult for a guy. And I'm never going to say that I'm a good dude. I'm gonna let my actions speak for that. But it's difficult for a guy with good intentions to show you that if all you used to is chaos. Like you can't be in a chaotic state all the time, and not realize that I think that that's healthy, because it's not. You don't sit there and you don't go through the same emotions or the same traumatic events over and over and over again. And I remember she told me once, hey, well, there's certain things I don't want to give up being single. So if you date me, you can still do the same thing. Like, I'm never gonna stop you from fucking doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, it's like I'm never gonna have you check in, with me, or whatever it is, or just the stupid shit that people do, right? But yeah, man, I think it's imperative to realize that you know not everything that you went through is a cross for you to carry, but at the same time, it's not something that you should hide behind either. So take the time, figure out who you are, what you want, and what you want to bring to this world, because we all have gifts, we all have talents, man, and it's up to us to basically bring those talents and those gifts to fruition. And once we do that, the world's a better place, man. The world's a fucked up place. But if you can become a better version of yourself every single day, then you winning. All right, y'all. This is about 23 minutes of your life that you won't get back. Hope y'all keeping it full peace. Private player, positive pushing. See y'all next week. Love y'all. Ghost.